We had made a serious promise to enter Beta University together. To make sure that happened, I deliberately scored a 0 on my Gaokao literature exam. In the end, I only scored 600 points and barely missed the cutoff. They, on the other hand, went straight abroad to study. Honestly, they never even knew. So I never made it to university at all. I was forced to quit my studies and become a delivery driver. That night, I dragged my exhausted body down the street. I was finishing my very last delivery when a Range Rover suddenly slammed into me, throwing me to the pavement. A moment later, a woman in red heels crouched down, right beside me. "Are you okay? I really did not mean to hit you." As she spoke, she opened her Gucci bag and pulled out a thick stack of cash. "There should be about 2 or 3,000 yuan in here. Take this money for now and get yourself to the nearest hospital to check for injuries. I have an absolutely massive emergency to handle." After dropping that on me, she shoved the cash into my hand and stood up to leave. But then she quickly crouched back down, grabbed a pen, and scribbled on a small sticky note. It was a phone number. She then pulled out her ID card and handed it to me with the paper, saying, "If anything comes up, just call me." She told me her name. By the time I actually glanced down to look at her ID card, she was already back on her feet and rushing away. The whole crazy encounter barely took a single minute. We barely had time to speak before that white Range Rover sped away into the night. I painfully dragged myself up, grabbed my scooter, and started pushing it home. In my hand, I gripped the ID card belonging to the driver of that Range Rover. It was already midnight. After a brief hesitation, I went ahead and pulled out my phone to dial. The first time, nobody answered. A minute later, I tried a second time, but this time the call was instantly rejected. Feeling frustrated, I tried my luck a third time. Someone finally picked up the line. A very impatient voice barked at me. "Who is this? Speak fast." I answered as politely as I could. "I am calling about the accident. You hit me earlier." "Oh, I am so sorry." Her tone flipped instantly, and she began apologizing profusely. "It is completely my fault, and I am so sorry. Which hospital are you at right now? Did they run tests? What did the doctor say?" Hearing her genuine concern really calmed me down. I answered her quietly. "I am actually perfectly fine, but the frame of my electric scooter got cracked." She sighed. "The important thing is you are safe." "I will pay to replace the scooter," she promised. I told her the cash was plenty. I also mentioned I still had her ID card, asking when she wanted it back. "Could we do it right now?" she asked hesitantly. "I am tied up tonight. Could a friend swing by and grab it for me instead?" So I gave her my home address. After hanging up, I sat down on a wooden stool to apply some medical ointment to my cuts. About half an hour later, I heard a loud pounding on my door. I opened it up to find 4 men standing outside. The guy in front looked around my age, but the 3 behind him were absolutely massive. He just glared at me and demanded, "Are you the guy who called?" Before I could even get a word out, he impatiently asked if I was holding on to Li Chia's ID card. I tried to tell him it was right behind me, but before I could even open my mouth, he drove a brutal punch straight into my face, followed by a vicious kick to my stomach. I had absolutely no idea what was happening as I crashed onto the floor. I tried to push myself up, but the guy's heavy boot slammed right into my head. The metallic taste of blood instantly filled my mouth. My roommate Liu Yang, the guy I always share beers with, slowly cracked his bedroom door open. He took one quick look and immediately slammed it shut again. The leader stepped closer, crushing my arm under his heavy leather shoe. He glared down and demanded coldly, "Where is the ID?" I desperately wanted to answer him, but half my face was completely numb. I could not make a sound. The man turned to his 3 goons and ordered them to find the ID and the note. It was sitting right on the desk. One of the massive guys walked in and grabbed it instantly. He handed everything over to his boss, who simply glanced at the plastic card. Looking deeply satisfied, he slid it into his pocket. He dug his heavy boot even harder into my ruined arm and spat at me. "Are you totally blind, you stupid punk? You really have 0 luck getting involved with her. Let me make one thing crystal clear. If you ever try to go near that woman again, I swear I will end you." After that threat, he delivered one last brutal kick to my ribs. He turned around to leave, but right near the doorway, he suddenly paused, remembering something. He marched straight back into my bedroom and snatched up my smartphone. He violently smashed it against the floor right in front of my eyes, making sure it was completely destroyed. Then, the 4 of them swaggered out. Afterwards, I just sat alone on the edge of my bed. A cheap 7 yuan cigarette burned quietly between my bruised fingers, releasing a thin trail of white smoke. I just could not understand why this world feels so incredibly unfair. And I really could not understand why everyone wears a mask. Why leave me her ID, only to send thugs to beat me half to death? I absolutely had to figure out what her real motive was. Outside my window, the heavy rain only grew stronger, pouring down like it would never stop all night long. By sunrise, this cold city would have one more homeless vagabond wandering around. When the very first ray of morning light finally pierced through my window, my suitcase was already completely packed. Today, I was forced to leave my rented room. Because of that violent gang last night, my landlord decided I was mixed up with some seriously dangerous people. He absolutely refused to rent the place to me anymore. My sad suitcase sat strapped to my beat-up electric scooter. All I had left was the cash that woman handed me in the pouring rain. Those 2,600 yuan she basically threw at me. Last payday, I sent every single penny back home for my father's medical treatments, leaving myself with practically nothing to survive on. Out of that cash, I spent 800 yuan on a cheap smartphone so I could keep my delivery job. With the remaining 1,000 or so, I desperately needed to find a new place to stay. If I could not find a decent room before dark, I would literally be sleeping under a bridge. I slid my old SIM card into the new phone and instantly received a phone call from my uncle. Shen Fan, what are you doing? It was my uncle Shen Chaoji. The man is quite a character. My grandfather had rescued him from the streets. He is just 6 years older than me, and lately, he has done some truly stupid things. To put it mildly, his reputation was completely terrible. I crouched quietly on the hard edge of the sidewalk and answered the call. I am actually free right now. What made you think to call me today? Is there a problem? Yeah, I am in Kunming right now. I bought some important medicine for your father. I heard there is an old traditional doctor over here in Kunming who is an absolute genius at curing severe kidney diseases. I got his contact info and came straight here. Let me crash at your place tonight. Okay? I will catch the early train back tomorrow. Hearing my uncle say that, a massive wave of panic hit me. If he found out I was struggling so hard that I did not even have a roof over my head, what would he think? Worse? What if he actually went and told my parents about it? My parents would worry themselves sick over it. Plus, with my deeply bruised face and knowing his stubborn personality, he would absolutely demand to know the entire story. And then, the real trouble would start. I stammered, Uncle, please do not visit me. Just grab the medicine and go back quickly. I am totally swamped with work. Not happening, he insisted firmly. Your mother packed a big farm basket specifically for you, and she made absolutely sure that I deliver it in person. Anyway, I have to go now. I will call you back when I arrive. With that, my uncle hung up. Finding a random apartment, paying the deposit, and moving in immediately felt incredibly unrealistic. But my uncle was arriving in 2 hours. Today, that was a massive problem for me. After a brief moment of heavy hesitation, I decided to find a cheap hotel near the train station, settle my uncle there, and somehow make him completely abandon the entire idea of crashing at my place. As long as he was settled, I did not care where I slept. Any makeshift solution would work perfectly fine. 2 hours later, I finally met my uncle right at the station. He looked exactly the same as always, rocking a fake Nike shirt, bulging muscles, and a brand new arm tattoo. The second he saw my face, he froze up and asked worriedly, Hey Shen Fan, what happened to you? Did you get into a fight? I lied, I just wasn't careful. I took a really bad fall. My uncle absolutely did not believe a single word. Do you think I am your parents? Trying to play me for a fool like that? Nobody gets into this kind of mess just from tripping. Tell me the truth. Did you get beaten up? You know what happened, and you do not even dare to say it. I knew my uncle had been around the block. Fooling him was going to be difficult, but I simply did not want to discuss it. I completely dodged his probing question. Come on, let's go. I will take you to find a place to sleep first. This afternoon, I'll go with you to grab the medicine. My uncle did not say a single word. He just walked silently right by my side. Once we got into the small hotel room that I had booked in advance, I turned and said, You will sleep right here tonight. After picking up the medicine this afternoon, I really need to go to work. Please do not tell my parents that I got beaten up. I absolutely do not want to worry them. But my uncle kept insisting, refusing to let the matter drop easily. So what exactly happened out there? Who put you in this terrible state, Shen Fan? Are you hiding a massive secret from the family? Tell me right now, who hit you and why? Feeling totally defeated, I mumbled back in a very low voice. I honestly have no idea why they attacked me. Then, I carefully explained everything that had gone down the previous night. By the time I finished, I made absolutely sure to remind him once again. Please do not mention a single word to my parents. I cannot stand making them worry again. Look, I have a few hundred extra yuan right here. When you head back, please give this money to my dad. Chen Chaoji stayed totally silent, keeping his head down for a few minutes. Finally, he said, All right, I will not tell your parents anything. Saying that, my uncle suddenly pulled out 2,000 extra yuan for me. Do not give your cash to your parents. I am giving you 2,000 more right now. Find a nice building, rent a decent apartment, and start taking much better care of yourself. Uncle, no, please do not give me this money. I really do not want it. But my uncle replied with a harsh tone that allowed absolutely zero room for arguments. I am giving it to you, so you take it right now. End of discussion. This afternoon I will go grab the medicinal herbs for your father. So you need to go find an apartment. Start by fixing your housing situation today. We will eat dinner together tonight, and tomorrow morning I will catch the very first train home. I took a long, deep breath. I could truly feel how much my uncle cared about my well-being. I hated making him worry more, so I finally accepted his generous offer. All right, this afternoon I will hunt for a new apartment while you pick up the medical supplies. My poor father's kidney disease had dragged on for years. The endless hospital treatments had completely drained all the family savings. Even though my grandfather had left behind tens of thousands of yuan before he passed away, my incredible uncle never kept a single dime. He threw absolutely everything he had right into funding the care for my father. Even if my uncle seems to just hang around all day, he is a genuinely wonderful guy. That afternoon, I found a rental listing at a local real estate office. It was a shared apartment in a nice building, featuring 3 bedrooms and 1 big living room. The rent was only $700 a month. The living room, the bathroom, and the large kitchen were considered fully shared common spaces. The other 2 bedrooms were occupied by a couple and another girl. After thoroughly checking out the apartment, I felt it was decent enough, so I quickly rented it. Once all the paperwork was fully sorted out, it was already past 4 p.m. My uncle shot me a quick text, telling me he was waiting at that cheap hotel near the train station, so we could grab dinner together. He needed to catch a very early train home the following morning. Just as I was stepping out the door, I awkwardly bumped into the single girl I was now rooming with. She was just getting back from work. She wore a sharp professional suit with a fitted short jacket that made her look incredibly stylish. The moment she leaned over to change her shoes, I accidentally caught a quick glimpse right down her collar, getting a clear view of her chest. I swear I did not do it on purpose, but I honestly have to admit the view was incredibly attractive. It was the kind of sight you simply cannot look away from after the first glance. Naturally, when she finally stood back up after changing her shoes, I was still standing right there, staring at her like a total idiot. She shot me an incredibly dark look and muttered with absolute, unfiltered disgust, "You complete pervert." After that nasty encounter, she quickly covered her cleavage with her hand and angrily stormed straight into her private bedroom. That evening, after eating dinner with my uncle, I had zero desire to head back to that Paris apartment complex. Instead, I just booked another cheap room at the small hotel. Bright and early the following morning, after walking my uncle to the train station, I got straight back to my deliveries. No regular job meant zero income. Right now, hustling as a delivery driver was the absolute only option I had left. I hustled non-stop until 11:30 p.m. My last order of the night genuinely surprised me. It was placed by my brand new roommate, Lin Yifei. Walking back into the apartment, holding the hot delivery, I noticed the couple from the master bedroom were not home. Their door was tightly closed and the lights inside were completely off. However, the bright light from her bedroom was still glowing warmly. From time to time, I could clearly hear the rapid clicking of her keyboard. I pulled off my work jacket, tossed it into my room, grabbed her food bags, stepped right up to her door, and gently knocked a couple of times. She was wearing casual loungewear when she finally pulled the door open. The second she saw my face, she instantly scowled. Acting on pure instinct, she quickly covered her neckline with her left hand, looking entirely disgusted, and sharply asked, "What exactly do you want?" I lifted up the plastic delivery bag and simply said, "Here is your food order." Lin Yifei instantly exploded with absolute fury. She aggressively snapped at me. "Who gave you permission to touch my delivery?" I barely finished my sentence before she viciously snatched the bag straight out of my hands. Right after that, she violently chucked it straight into the garbage can sitting next to her door. There was a large bowl of soup inside that order. When she violently yanked the bag away, boiling broth splashed completely over my jeans. It burned like absolute hell, but she completely ignored my pain. She took a step backward and slammed the door straight in my face. I stood frozen on the landing, totally stunned and unsure of what to do next. Feeling utterly helpless, I just shook my heavy head helplessly and walked back to my bedroom. Right then, my phone pinged with a customer review for that delivery, a brutal 1-star rating. The written reason? "By what right do you reassigned my order to someone else? Are you actually kidding me right now?" Staring at my screen, I found the whole thing completely absurd. One single bad review means $300 gone. Honestly, on my paycheck, hustling from morning to night sometimes doesn't even hit $300. I broke my back working like a complete dog today, and in the end, this one single terrible rating was enough to completely ruin all my hard work. By Wednesday noon, I suddenly got a random call from my uncle. I really thought he was just giving me some family updates. I parked my scooter right on the side of the road and asked, "Uncle, what is up? I am in the middle of a delivery here. Can you call back later? I am at the intersection of Manhwa Road and Renmin Road. I will wait for you here. Once you finish this delivery, do not take any more orders and come see me." I genuinely thought I had misheard him. "Did you say where?" "At the little garden? That is exactly the spot where you had your accident. Come here and tell me exactly where that Range Rover hit you." "Hello?" I immediately sensed that Chen Xiaojie was planning something really reckless. "Did you not go back home? What on earth are you doing back in Kunming? I am here to settle the score for you. Listen, if you do not want to come, that is on you. It will just take me a little extra time to scan through a few more surveillance camera recordings. That is all. I was absolutely speechless. I know my uncle Chen Xiaoji like the back of my hand. The second I finished my delivery drop, I rushed straight over there, and of course, at the little garden intersection, I finally found him. The guy was squatting down right on the sidewalk, his eyes completely glued to the traffic surveillance cameras at the crossing. I had zero idea what was going through his head. Seeing me, he immediately asked, "So where exactly did you get rear-ended?" I quickly corrected his version of the story. I definitely did not get rear-ended. Actually, I was the one who crashed into the Range Rover while it was turning. He could not help but let out a loud curse. Who does not know you must yield when turning? Just tell me exactly which direction they went. I pointed my finger toward the other side of the street and said, "It happened right over there." "Uncle, please, let us just drop this, all right? We do not know anyone in Kunming. It is really better not to go looking for trouble." But he simply replied, "I got it. Just wait until I find the license plate of that Range Rover, and I will easily track down the guys who assaulted you. You just go mind your own business." With that, Chen Xiaojie lowered his head and walked away. I stood totally frozen right there and I yelled out, "Uncle, I am staying at the Spring Paris Hotel. You should crash there tonight." Without even looking back, Chen Xiaojie shot back, "Do not worry about me." Watching Chen Xiaojie's figure slowly vanish into the busy crowd, I felt a heavy wave of anxiety rising inside me. Those guys clearly did not seem like easy targets. They drove a white Range Rover, carried a Gucci bag, and probably had millions. Chen Xiaojie, who literally knows absolutely no one in Kunming, was going to recklessly investigate them. If that is not asking for serious trouble, what is? But I knew deep down I could never convince him. Besides silently worrying in my own corner, I had no clue what to do. 3 days later, in the evening, Chen Xiaoji finally called me again. He told me to meet him at the City Car Cube Plaza in under 30 minutes. He was waiting in the outdoor lot. When I reached the parking lot and finally spotted Chen Xiaojie, he was crouching low in a very discreet corner right near a flower bed. Diagonally across from him sat that exact same white Range Rover from the other night. The nasty scratch on the side was still that day. I was genuinely blown away by Chen Xiaojie's tracking skills, but I remained baffled. How did he actually manage to find it? Feeling quite anxious, I tried to talk some sense into him. I said, "Uncle, let us drop this. Do not make things worse." He replied in a completely flat tone, "No way. Today, I must give them a brutal taste of their own medicine." I quickly glanced around us. Even though it was already past 8 at night, the place was packed with people. This was absolutely not the spot for a messy street fight. "Here, smoke." Chen Xiaoji silently handed me a pack of cigarettes. It was a soft pack of Zhonghua, revealing a black Santana parked right nearby. He said, "Get in, we will sit inside and wait for them to arrive." "Whose car is this?" "Never mind that, just get in with me." Once I got inside, I immediately started feeling nervous. This Santana, which was easily over 10 years old, was completely wrecked. Right next to the driver's seat, there was a heavy steel pipe wrapped tightly in bandages, standing straight up. It was glaringly obvious. This was the murder weapon for tonight. It was totally impossible for me to stay calm. Even though I truly hated them for assaulting me, the mere thought of actually hitting someone made me sick. I was genuinely scared. I desperately tried convincing my uncle not to look for pointless trouble, but he completely ignored me. I honestly felt like I was talking to a brick wall. Around 9:15, our main targets finally showed up. The vicious guy who had hit me that night, and Lixia, who was driving the car I had a close encounter with, were both right there. They walked side by side straight toward the Range Rover. The man went to the driver's side and opened the door. Chen Xiaoji asked coldly, "Is that the two of them?" "Uncle, let us just drop it." "Yes." Chen Xiaoji seemed a bit impatient now. "Stop your nonsense. Just give me a straight yes or no right now." I took a very deep breath and quietly whispered, "Yes."
Yes.
Chen Xiaojie did not say a single word. His intense eyes were completely locked onto the Range Rover. The Range Rover started up and slowly pulled out of its parking space. Chen Xiaoji immediately started the Santana. The Santana tailed their Land Rover closely on the way out, and I was incredibly tense the entire drive. Chen Xiaoji was fully capable of doing crazy things. I knew that fact all too well. The Land Rover drove ahead, and after taking several turns, it left the second ring road, turning onto a fairly isolated, quiet little street. Chen Xiaoji seized the perfect moment to aggressively overtake the Land Rover. Then he yanked the steering wheel sharply. He violently cut off the Land Rover, slamming on the brakes, and our car skidded completely sideways to perfectly block the white Land Rover. I have to admit, the Land Rover's braking system was truly excellent. Any other random car would have undoubtedly crashed right into us. After stopping, Chen Xiaojie was in absolutely no rush to get out. The driver of the Land Rover, the exact man who had punched me the other day, stepped out of his car looking furious. He angrily stormed over to the Santana. Arriving right beside the driver's side door, he raised his foot and delivered a massive kick to it, violently screaming, "How the hell do you drive? Do you even know how to drive? Holding the heavy steel pipe he had prepared in his right hand, Chen Xiaoji unlocked the Santana's door with his left hand. He forcefully shoved the car door open with everything he had. The man standing right there was hit at full force. He stumbled backward several heavy steps. Chen Xiaoji calmly stepped out of the vehicle, his steel pipe gripped tight. Without wasting a single extra word, he raised the heavy iron bar and swung it straight down toward his head. The stunned man instinctively raised his left arm to protect himself. He managed to parry the brutal swing, but Chen Xiaojie's foot had already kicked him hard in the gut. He staggered back 2 steps, violently tripped, and collapsed right onto the curb. He was completely terrified by Chen Xiaojie's dark, menacing aura. Lying helplessly on the hard ground, he stared up at him, his face completely pale. He did not dare say a single word. All of his previous arrogance had completely vanished. Lixia hastily scrambled out of the passenger side, totally panicked. She rushed over to the man asking worriedly, "Jiao, are you okay? Are you hurt?" After asking those 2 questions, she looked up at my uncle and demanded, "Why did you hit him?" But my uncle just turned to me and said, "Shen Fan, come here. What do you want to do with him?" I approached my uncle trembling and muttered softly, "Uncle, drop it. We hit him. Let's go, okay? Who are you?" Li Xia hadn't recognized me. Thinking about it, it really wasn't that surprising. She had left in a huge hurry that day, and I was still wearing my courier uniform. I was on an electric scooter with a helmet on. It makes total sense she forgot my face. But right at that very moment, she stared closely at both of us, Chen Xiaoji and me. Looking completely terrified, she asked, "What do you want?" Chen Xiaoji ignored Li Xia entirely. Gripping the iron bar in his right hand, he slowly crouched down, pressing the lower end of the metal against his own thigh. I could see him applying real pressure. The expression on the guy's face started twisting in pure agony. Still, he was tough enough to clench his jaw and keep from screaming. Xiaoji, seeing his face heavily distorted by the pain, looked incredibly smug. He looked down at the man and said, "You hit Shen Fan and smashed his phone. As payback, you are going to wire me 5,000 right now. Make the transfer and this whole thing is over." Chen Xiaoji sneered, "And if you refuse to pay up, don't worry. Just don't expect to leave here in one piece, understood?" Li Xia might have known too. I have no idea what kind of tough guy Hai usually is, but my uncle's dark, threatening aura just completely terrified him. He unzipped his shoulder bag and pleaded, "Please don't hurt him. I will give you cash." He blurted this out while ripping money right from his bag, without even bothering to count. He practically shoved it all into my uncle's hands. "I don't even know how much is there. I'm giving you everything I have." Chen Xiaoji glanced at the stack and said, "Yeah, that should be enough. For today you get a pass. But don't go around using your wealth to bully people anymore. Remember that well. If you have a problem with it, come find me again. See you around. My number is super easy to remember. 1356677 ***. Honestly, if you aren't completely stupid, I'm happy. Call me whenever you feel like it." After dropping that line, Chen Xiaoji tucked away his heavy iron bar and looked at me. "Chen Fan, let's roll out. Bye. If he dares mess with you again, I'll cripple him." He is a bit brutal. Sure. But that is how Chen Xiaoji solves problems. Walking away, I just couldn't resist looking back one more time at Li Xia. She was so stunning. Her features were so delicate that I completely lacked the words to describe her. While I was staring at her, she was staring right back. The second our eyes locked, I felt a massive wave of shame and wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I quickly broke eye contact, spun around, and climbed straight into the car. Chen Xiaoji noticed that I was looking a bit on edge. With a harsh tone that clearly showed his disappointment, he asked, "You got scared back there, right?" "Yeah, you little wimp. We all have 2 shoulders to carry 1 head. So what exactly are you terrified of? If you're a real man, you fight back." Honestly, this whole tough guy routine was draining me. Living in Kunming all these long years, year after year, I've always played the quiet outsider. I have absolutely no desire to argue with locals, let alone throw punches. I'd rather dodge trouble entirely. I just want to put my head down, work hard, stack up some money, send it back home, and hopefully save enough for my dad's kidney transplant. Seeing me sit there in complete silence, Chen Xiaoji tried to comfort me. "Come on, quit moping around. It is really not that big of a deal. If that guy ever tries to mess with you again, I'll personally end him until he gets the picture. Hop out at the next crossroad near Carrefour. Take this cash and watch how you spend it. I'm staying right here in Kunming for now. If anything pops up, just call me." Without even pausing to ask if I was okay with taking his money, he tossed the whole stack right into my lap. I knew my father's medical bills would be crushing, so I swallowed my pride. There was a little over 6,000. I took it all and asked him, "Aren't you going back home? What exactly are you doing here in Kunming? Let's just say I'm no food courier. And remember, if he hunts you down again, you make sure to settle the score. Don't be a punching bag." My personal philosophy for survival and my uncle's brutal methods have just always been worlds apart. After hopping out at Carrefour, I wandered slowly through the quiet city streets in the dead of night. With several thousand yuan in cold hard cash burning a hole in my pocket, I felt like this money had come way too fast. so fast that my stomach tied in knots. I actually thought about tracking down Li Xia, returning the cash, and explaining this was all just a massive misunderstanding. I'll admit the thought really crossed my mind. That's mainly because I'm just a broke guy who can't afford any legal drama. But honestly, another motive was brewing. I totally fantasized about getting the chance to properly introduce myself to Li Xia, if only to erase the terrible impression I left. Suddenly, it hit me just how insanely absurd that fantasy was. How could a delivery driver ever catch the eye of someone like the gorgeous Li Xia? I couldn't help but laugh out loud at my own stupidity. The next morning, I treated myself to a rare sleep-in before opening my delivery app to start accepting courier jobs again. The very first one was massive. No fewer than 40 box lunches going straight to the International Hotel. The security guard out front forced me to take the service elevator all the way up to a 29th floor conference room. On my first trip up, I could only carry 20 meals. Inside that huge boardroom, it was just the assistant who had placed the catering order. She told me to just stack the food trays on the main table. So I headed back down to grab the second batch. But when I hauled the remaining lint back into that meat room, an unbelievable scene unfolded right before me. Li Xia was sitting there surrounded by executives. Our eyes locked for a split second. I legitimately could not believe my own eyes. But Li Xia was really there in that boardroom, staring a hole through me. A guy popped open a meal box and handed it to her. He said with deep respect, "Director Li, the board meeting must have been incredibly exhausting. Please eat something." A freezing chill immediately ran down my spine. Literally, just yesterday, Chen Xiaoji and I brutally beat down her boyfriend. And now I waltz right into her corporate territory to deliver takeout. It was like casually walking into a lion's den. After frantically slamming the trays down, I bolted straight for the exit. I sprinted for the elevator without stopping to catch my breath. The second those metal doors slid open, I froze in absolute shock. At least 4 guards stood waiting. I pretended to keep my cool, ducked my head down, and tried to walk past them. 2 of the men stepped forward and completely blocked my path. They ordered me to follow them. I played totally dumb and said, "You guys must have the wrong guy." Drop the act. Their boss just looked at the others and barked, "Grab him." I screamed out, "By what right? Why are you doing this? You're only security guards. You have zero legal right to restrict my freedom like this." Screaming my lungs out obviously drew plenty of stares from guests in the hotel lobby. The lobby manager, however, reacted with lightning speed, plastering on a massive corporate smile. He turned to the growing crowd to smooth things over. "Please excuse the terrible commotion, everyone. One of our VIP guests just reported a highly valuable item missing and suspects this delivery driver took advantage to steal it. We've secured the suspect and are hauling him to the police station right now. We are truly sorry. This delivery guy is a thief." Honestly, you know how service is these days. Absolutely off. Who's ever going to order food again? I started screaming with all my might. My face was totally twisted with rage. I was being framed, but no one believed a single word. Nobody even cared about my desperate shouting. All I saw around me were dead, cold faces, completely indifferent. Everyone just held up their phones, recording the whole meltdown. And despite what the manager claimed, those 4 massive security guards didn't drag me to the police station like they promised. They just shoved me into a tiny back room and snatched my phone, tied me straight to a chair while I kept screaming, "Let me go. This is basically illegal kidnapping. You cannot do this." The biggest guard just sneered at me. "I don't care about your legal words. I just do exactly what my boss tells me. So if you keep whining and annoy me, I'll shove these week-old, unwashed socks right down your throat." Honestly, he won. That disgusting threat worked like an absolute charm. I didn't dare open my mouth again, knowing he was crazy enough to actually do it. I just sat there, my heart pounding against my ribs, clueless about what came next. I had no idea who I was going to face. A little while later, both guards actually passed out on the bed. I tried struggling to escape, but my hands and my ankles were tied tight to that chair. All my thrashing was totally useless. Maybe 3 hours dragged by before the heavy door finally clicked and swung wide open. Both guards scrambled out of bed instantly. Lixia stepped into the room, flanked by 5 other people. The young girl standing quietly right behind her was the exact same customer who ordered the food earlier today. Next to her was the manager, plus 2 more security guys. Seeing Lixia walk in, the lazy guards who were just sleeping jumped to attention and bowed deeply. "Good afternoon, President Li." Lixia frowned hard at them and demanded, "Why on earth is he tied up?" The manager shot a lethal glare at the big guard and snapped sharply, "Who told you to tie him? Untie him right now." Once the ropes were off, Lixia turned to her crew. "Everyone out of here. Nobody comes inside without my direct permission." Hearing the absolute ice in Lixia's voice, they didn't dare breathe another word. They quickly shuffled out of the room with their tails tucked. Lixia stared right through me and asked, "What is your problem with Jia Hao? Why did you beat him so badly yesterday?" So his name was Jia Hao. I finally knew what that jerk was called. "Don't play stupid with me," she snapped. "Are you seriously pretending you don't know why you hit him?" Lixia's adopted a mocking tone that basically said, I see right through your pathetic little game. Do you just enjoy fighting all day? She asked. Can't you sit down and talk things out? Is violence really how you handle everything? Clearly, Lixia thought I was just some low-life street thug. I looked straight back at her and asked, will you even listen to me? Listen, I don't have the time. Lixia brutally cut me off. I kept you here just to tell you one thing. Stop cornering Jia Hao in the middle of the night. If you want money, come directly to me, but leave him alone. Now my blood was actually boiling. I glared at Lixia and fired right back. So you have me tied up here for 4 hours? You ruined my entire afternoon of working deliveries just to spout this absolute garbage? Lixia scoffed. What did you expect? You thought I had something else to discuss? I totally lost my temper. Since you felt the need to share, I've got a little secret for you too. That first delivery meal, you are the one who ate it, right? Guess what? I already took a few big bites out of that food. You literally ate my leftovers, Lixia, and I spat in it. Lixia's eyes went wide with pure horror. A second later, she slapped a hand over her mouth and bolted for the restroom. So satisfying. I grabbed my phone, strolling right out of that room like I owned the place. Out in the lobby, the manager and security guards gave me the weirdest looks. I strutted out like an absolute king. The more I thought about it, the better it felt. I left the hotel right around dinner rush. I was totally ready to grab more orders and keep making deliveries. But then I checked the courier app. My account was suspended. I called support to figure out what was going on, and they claimed I was flagged for suspected theft. They completely revoked my delivery driver status. In other words, I was officially fired. What the hell did I even do to deserve this? Making a living is hard enough. I honestly don't know how my life turned into this mess. Let me tell you, I was furious. I glared at the hotel and spat hard on the concrete. Right then, a mob of guards swarmed out of the lobby screaming, "Grab him! Don't let him escape! Are you kidding me? Over a single spit? They want to arrest me now?" I bolted. But the doorman swept my legs out from under me. The whole pack jumped on my back and pinned me down. This time, they didn't drag me inside. They shoved me straight into a dark Buick GL8 van. Lixia was sitting quietly in the middle row. I was tossed into the right seat, hands and feet completely bound. Those goons were terrified I'd fight back, so they wrapped a thick rope around me twice. 2 guards sat in the back, another riding shotgun. Suddenly, I felt a serious spike of panic. I slowly turned my head to Lixia and stammered, "What do you want? I only took 2 bites of your lunch. You wouldn't murder me. Shut up. Just shut up." Lixia shot me a look of pure, unadulterated disgust. "Bring up that lunch one more time, and I'll have them throw you onto the highway. Right now. But you have to tell me where we're going. You've already ruined my life. I lost my delivery job because of you." Lixia stared back with absolute ice. "Whether you have a miserable job or not, I couldn't care less. But if Jia Hao gets hurt, I swear to God, I'm taking you down with him." "Wait, Jia Hao? Who the hell is this guy, and what does he have to do with me?" "Lai Jia Hao is my little brother, and I refuse to let him get hurt."
Your brother."
Hearing Lixia say that, a weird rush of excitement actually hit me. Why should I care if your precious brother gets hurt or not? Your friend kidnapped him, my brother. So now I'm bringing you along to make a trade. I stared blankly at Lixia. "What do you mean? I don't know anything." "Since when did I have a friend that hardcore? The guy from last night. Chen Chaoji." "What? Urchu? What the hell did he do?" My head felt like it was going to explode. "Didn't we agree last night that the whole drama was over? Why would he go after Li Jiahao? Does he think the kid's an easy target just because he's rich? Would Urchu seriously pull a crazy stunt like that?" I was totally lost. I didn't dare ask any more questions. The rest of the drive was almost dead silent. We drove from downtown to the 3rd Ring Road, hitting the deep suburbs, finally parking by a rotting old warehouse. Right beside 2 parked cars, a table was set up with cheap canned food and pickled dishes. Empty bottles scattered everywhere. Picture this with me, Chen Chao Ji was sitting there, completely alone on one side of the table. While Li Jiao and his crew occupied the other 3 sides, I saw those guys were in a truly brutal state. Every single one had a bruised face, and Li Jiao was no exception. Seeing this scene, Li Xia just could not take it. She jumped out of the car, sprinted toward him, and cried, "Li Jiao, how on earth did you end up in this terrible state? Who exactly did this to you?" As she demanded an answer, her furious gaze instantly snapped over to my uncle. But he did not even bother giving Li Xia a single passing glance. The massive bodyguard violently kicked me straight out of the car. Then, the other 2 guards roughly hauled me up off the ground, screaming at the top of their lungs, "Let our young master go this instant, or we will kill the hostage." Seeing Li Xia arrive, my uncle looked genuinely surprised for a moment. He frowned but stayed completely silent. He calmly set his glass down, stood up, and asked, "What exactly is going on here?" Li Xia demanded angrily while glaring intensely at my uncle. "Are you the one who beat my brother into this pathetic state? Did we not agree last night that this was completely settled? What do you actually want?" "Sister, please just stop," Li Jiao suddenly interrupted, standing up with his head hung in shame. "It is not their fault, it is mine. It was 5 against 1, and we still lost. I totally deserved every bit of it. If I had not heard those exact words with my very own ears, I would have seriously struggled to believe it. The 4 tough guys Li Jiao brought along were clearly much stronger, yet they all got absolutely demolished by my uncle. He beat them down so thoroughly that they could not even say a single word in protest. With a truly aching heart, Li Xia slowly raised her hand to gently touch. She gently touched Li Jiao's badly swollen face and asked with caution, "Does it hurt?" At first, Li Jiao nodded slightly, but then he quickly shook his head and mumbled, "I am fine. This is definitely not my first time. It is not about getting beaten up, but he is honestly the first person to completely put me in my place. It is not their fault, so please stop." "My uncle," interrupted Li Jiao entirely. "Your sister actually has some serious nerve, managing to capture my nephew like that. For today, we are perfectly even. You release my nephew right now, and I will safely let you all walk away. As for today's messy conflict, we will entirely forget about the medical expenses, but do not ever let this happen again." The huge bodyguard wanted to show off. He aggressively rolled up his sleeves and said, "Miss Li, they are being incredibly arrogant. Let me teach them a proper lesson." Li Xia immediately shot a deadly glare at the big guy. She stared down the guard, then swiftly turned her attention back to Li Jiao. "What exactly is your major problem? Can we please just settle this mess once and for all today? Enough with this ridiculous circus, all right? You are definitely not a kid anymore. When will you finally grow up and be reasonable? Before Dad passed away, he explicitly asked me to take good care of you. Could you please not running this entire company completely on my own? Do you seriously think that is easy for me?" As she said this, hot tears of heavy frustration began to stream straight down Li Xia's cheeks. Seeing his sister break down crying, Li Jiao completely panicked. He desperately begged, "Sister, I really know I was completely wrong. Please, I am begging you, do not cry. It is entirely my fault. Last night I got beaten up and was incredibly bitter about it. So today I called up a few buddies to teach him a lesson. I honestly never expected us to be so incredibly pathetic. It was 5 against 1, and we still got completely destroyed. I promise I will never cause you any more problems in the future. Please, just stop crying now, okay?" I finally called out, "Nice family reunion. But before discussing the past, could you untie me first? I am actually still fully tied up by your guys. We are talking about a prisoner exchange. My uncle never even tied up your brother, so you could at least honor your word. Start by actually releasing me." Li Xia shot a quick glance over at the massive security guard. The huge security guard immediately rushed over to completely untie me. She was clearly still incredibly worried about her badly beaten brother and firmly demanded, "Why did they try to block you last night? So stop pretending to be totally innocent. Do you seriously think nobody knows about this?" I furiously yelled. "First, you crash your car straight into me. Then, you send him directly to my house to violently assault me. He even completely smashed my phone. Do not dare tell me you were totally unaware." My angry words, Li Xia was absolutely dumbfounded, just staring directly at me in pure silence for at least 3 whole seconds. Then she slowly turned to look at Li Jiao. He lowered his head and muttered, "Sister, please let me explain." Li Jiao truly did not dare look his sister in the eye. He quietly confessed in a hushed voice, "That specific night, you never clearly told me that you had accidentally hit someone with your car, and that I needed to go fetch your ID card. I honestly assumed you were the unfortunate victim of an insurance scam, meant to extort money from you. So, I showed up at his place with some friends to retrieve your card, because I was really terrified he had your phone number, and in that he would continuously keep harassing you. On my way out, I also completely smashed his phone." Li Jiao's trembling voice grew significantly weaker as he spoke, "And that is exactly how we unfortunately ended up in that fight last night." Li Xiao was in pure shock. She looked directly at me, then glared back at Li Jiao. He practically buried his head deep into his collar, looking completely and utterly terrified. "Is the situation crystal clear now?" I firmly asked, staring directly at Li Xia. "You had no time to hear my explanations, so please listen to your brother instead. Thanks. Do you fully understand now? You crash your car into me, you send guys to brutally beat me, and today your manager loudly accuses me of being a petty thief. Now, the delivery platform has firmly blocked my courier account. I completely lost my job. This massive disaster is the result of your wonderful actions. Did I ever actually go looking for trouble with you? No. So why do you relentlessly come after me like this? I am so sorry." Li Xia's face flushed red. Her tone softened significantly as she whispered, "I will properly compensate you. Thanks, but absolutely no thanks. Do not ever foolishly believe that you can just do whatever you want in this world simply because you have a little bit of money." After angrily saying that, I proudly and confidently marched straight over toward my uncle. I grabbed a bottle of beer and successfully chugged it down in one single gulp. Then I casually tossed the bottle aside and confidently said to my uncle, "You honestly would not think it, just by looking at you right now. But seriously, you actually fight incredibly well." My uncle casually replied with a dismissive shrug, Hey, it gets the job done. Then he slowly stood up, turned to address Li Xia, and calmly stated, young lady, I see you are a reasonable person who knows how to listen. It is always much more pleasant to talk with sensible people. Truthfully, you are the one who carelessly crashed your car directly into him. Then your guys came to his house to beat him and smash his phone. Now, because of your actions, my nephew has lost his job. You are the one entirely responsible for all of this terrible mess. Thank you. We definitely need to find a proper solution, right? We cannot endure such a massive injustice in pure silence, can we? With her face flushed bright red, Li Xia nervously asked, all right, tell me exactly how much money do you want in compensation? My uncle quietly thought for a moment and calmly replied, forget the cash. If you give him money, he will immediately send it back to his family to treat his sick father. Father, why not just give him a job instead? Li Xia suggested. Absolutely not. My uncle and I loudly shouted at the exact same time. Li Xia shot me a quick look and firmly stated in a low voice, our company absolutely does not hire any person with terrible morals. What exactly is wrong with him? My uncle angrily demanded, looking extremely unhappy. In what way does my nephew have terrible morals? Li Xia, looking panicked and blushing red, nervously stammered out and said, he actually secretly ate my meal and left me with the leftovers. Hearing this, I seriously could not help but burst into laughter. I told my uncle, let's just go, do not worry. As for my job, if I can no longer deliver meals, I will definitely find something else to do. Walking past them, I glanced right at Li Xiao, and firmly told them, this whole matter is officially settled, right? You are not going to cause me any more trouble or try locking me up again. Li Xia's face instantly turned bright red when she heard my words, while Li Xiao practically yelled out loudly, don't you worry about a thing. I bow to you. I honestly admire Brother Jia. If you ever need anything in the future, just ask. But my uncle completely ignored him. Uncle Jaya just looked at me and said, let's go. It is all sorted out. I will drive you back. I slipped into his old Santana, incredibly curious. So I had to ask him, did you really knock every single one of those guys out? Uncle Jia simply replied, what is so hard about doing that? Suddenly, I was completely speechless. My own uncle is an absolute beast. After driving me back into the city, he asked what my future plans were. Are you keeping up the delivery gig? I just replied, my delivery driver account got completely suspended. Forget about the whole food delivery business, I am just going to find a different job to pay my bills. Before driving off, he reminded me again to call him if I ever ran into any more trouble. The second I stepped out of the car, a crushing wave of hopelessness washed over me like never before. I used to wake up at dawn and crash late at night, rushing out the door to make all my deliveries, just hoping that someday my frantic life would finally slow down. Well, now that the day has actually arrived, I feel completely lost. I just squatted down right there on the sidewalk right near the rear entrance of the Dianchi residential community, staring blankly out at this freezing, lonely city. Right about then, a scruffy little stray dog slowly wandered over to me. He walked around me a few times and quietly sat down by my side. Just two complete strangers sharing the exact same heavy sense of loneliness. Funnily enough, a local guy actually feeds this stray dog every single day. The guy and I finally put our old disagreements aside, and after talking things out, we grew a lot closer. Early the next morning, I woke up around 7:30, and just out of sheer habit, I immediately searched for delivery orders on my phone. Only after trying to grab one did it actually hit me that my driver account was completely permanently blocked. Seriously, starting today, I was banned from picking up orders or making food deliveries. Then, I suddenly remembered with a jolt. My electric scooter was still sitting over at the Ketty International Hotel. When I got dragged away yesterday, my electric scooter was parked right there. Panicking, I threw on my clothes as fast as possible, flabbed on a motorcycle taxi outside my neighborhood, and told him to rush directly straight over to the Ketty International Hotel. Approaching the fancy security booth out front, I immediately spotted that same overweight security guard from yesterday. He was back on duty, and the very second I noticed him, he spotted me. He aggressively swung his heavy rubber baton in my direction and shouted, "Why the hell are you back here, kid? Are you begging for another brutal beating? Get lost." Furious, I demanded, "Where is my scooter?" "What scooter?" The overweight guard just waved his heavy rubber baton right in my face, actively threatening me. "There are no scooters to find here, so get the hell off the property." I snapped back. "Where is my electric scooter?" "I parked it in this exact spot yesterday." "Who exactly stole my bike? Show me your security footage right now." The fat guard let out a nasty sneer and mockingly asked, "The surveillance cameras at our prestigious international hotel. Do you honestly believe you can just demand to check them, acting like you own the entire place?" My fists clenched. I had the most intense urge to punch him right in his extremely smug, infuriating face. He kept right on, relentlessly mocking me. "With your pathetic piece of scrap metal, even if you go crying to the police station, they will not even bother filing a report. Yet you are out here treating that rusty thing as if it were an absolute priceless treasure. He barely even finished his insulting sentence when the fat jerk suddenly snapped to strict attention, throwing up a perfectly professional salute. Clearly, a major VIP was pulling up to the hotel. I slowly turned around and immediately spotted Licia pulling up in her sleek white Range Rover. The expensive SUV glided to a stop right next to me, and looking out from the driver's seat, she glared down at me and asked in an absolutely freezing tone, "What on earth are you still doing hanging around here? You think I actually enjoy visiting this rotten dump? I just want to find my scooter. It was parked right here yesterday, and now it is completely gone." The chubby guard rushed over immediately. "Director Lee, please just ignore this crazy kid. Over his broken piece of junk, he actually demands we pull all our security tapes. He seriously thinks he is some important VIP. Director Lee just coldly snapped at him. "Mind your business. I will handle this myself." Without breaking eye contact, Licia stared the fat guard down and sharply asked, "How exactly do you plan to handle this? Where is his scooter?" The guard nervously flashed a slimy grin, explaining, "Well, according to the junior security guards working the shift yesterday, they watched with their own eyes as city management violently dragged his electric scooter off to the impound lot." At that point, I completely lost my mind. Why didn't you say a single word? I was only here to deliver your food. Not only did I lose my whole livelihood over this garbage, but now I find out you couldn't even bother to keep an eye on my bike? Do you people seriously have zero basic humanity?" The fat guard angrily ground his teeth, eyes practically bulging out of his head, yet he looked completely thrilled as he actually started humming. "Why on earth should we help you? That is enough." Licia snapped, visibly annoyed. She ordered the guard, swipe the elevator access, and bring him straight to my office. With that, she rolled the window up and drove her car into the parking garage. "Are you kidding me?" The fat guard stood there utterly bewildered, blurting out like a very confused idiot. "Did I hear that right? Madam Director wants me to escort you to her office?" It turns out Licia's office is located way up on the 29th floor. Right on her door, a shiny plaque proudly read General Manager. Who could have guessed? Licia actually runs this place. Reaching such a powerful position at her surprisingly young age is honestly incredibly impressive. Licia's personal office is by far the most insanely luxurious room I have ever stepped foot in during my entire life. Surprisingly, Licia personally brewed a cup of coffee for me. Handing over the steaming mug, she asked, "Exactly how much did your electric scooter cost?" I don't know why, but a sudden burning urge to provoke her hit me. Glaring right back, I asked with pure contempt, "Is money the only thing that matters? Think cash buys everything?" Let me tell you, I have owned that electric scooter for 3 whole years. Ever since the first day I started working this delivery gig, that trusty scooter has faithfully carried me through thick and thin. Yet it only took one single delivery to your cursed company for it to get completely destroyed. Does your conscience feel completely clear right now? Licia, still holding her coffee cup, leaned comfortably against her massive hub desk. She stared at me intensely and finally said, "Judging by all your dramatic self-righteous anger, it honestly sounds like you have formed a huge emotional attachment to your precious electric scooter. But none of that sad sob story really matters anyway. It is absolutely out of the question for me to help you recover your impounded bike from the city police. Let's just be incredibly direct here. So, exactly how much compensation do you want?" I scoffed. "Besides money, are you literally incapable of discussing anything else?" Licia fired back with an unbelievable level of pure arrogance. "When dealing with a person like you, whose morality is highly questionable, I can only talk about money." "I have a morality problem," I snapped. "Would a genuinely good person ever steal an innocent driver's food delivery?" I was practically completely speechless. I honestly had zero clue how to respond to that wild accusation. Ignoring my shock, Licia casually raised her wrist, checked her expensive watch, and coldly stated, "Let's not waste time. I have a board meeting starting. Just give me a number, tell me how much, and I will pay you off." I don't know where my sudden stubborn pride came from, but I decided to fiercely stand my ground against Licia, shouting back, I don't want money. I want my scooter back. 5,000 is plenty, right?" I didn't say a single word. 8,000 then. I just stayed totally silent. "I'm compensating you with 10,000. Licia raised her voice this time. "We good now?" I just stared right at her and asked, "You think I came to scam you? To bother you or maybe blackmail you? You genuinely think my morals are that incredibly low? Stop talking. 20,000. If you refuse it, get out of my office right this second and never come back." I raised my index finger, pointing it straight at her face. Still pointing, I took a step back and threw out a falsely superior tone. "Your life is honestly so pathetic. In your eyes, absolutely nothing matters except money. How could you ever understand the pain of losing a true companion? Talking feelings with you is honestly a complete and utter waste of my time. Keep clinging tightly to your cash and live your sad little life. Goodbye." With that, I spun right around on my heels to leave. "Wait right there!" Licia called out from behind me, her tone dripping with a sudden dark threat. "Don't regret this. I am giving you one last chance. 20 million yuan in compensation, no need for that. After dropping those cold words, I headed straight for the exit. Right behind my back, Lixia snapped. Fine then, thank you very much. Consider it a personal favor that I owe you. If you ever need my help with absolutely anything, as long as it doesn't break my core principles, I'll definitely return the debt. Just memorize my phone number. Walking out of the Cathay International Hotel, I had this absolutely crazy urge to slap myself across the face. I played it way too cool. 20,000 yuan. Why on earth didn't I just take that money? I really had to act all proud and mighty in front of that newly rich girl. Sure, I played my part perfectly. But the bitter price for that little comedy act was missing out on 20 million. How am I supposed to truly comfort myself now? Just by knowing I have her phone number again? Fine, I guess that is literally the only way to console myself. On my way home, I was casually scrolling through my social media feed. That is exactly when I accidentally noticed Lu Jun posted something. Turns out, today actually happened to be his birthday. Lu Jun was a really close high school buddy of mine. Back in the good old days, the two of us got along incredibly well. There were very few guys in the humanities track. Since seats were assigned strictly by our grades, we both always ended up right in the front row. Our exam results were consistently among the absolute best. The top student in the class was almost always either me or Lu Jun. After high school, Lu Jun scored 590 points and got straight into Lunan University.
Me?
Even with well over 600, I had to drop out. My family simply couldn't afford the tuition fees. Plus, the severe kidney disease my dad was battling required some really expensive and intense treatments. I wanted to start working as soon as humanly possible to help support my family. 4 years ago, Lu Jun came to Kunming for college and I came to work. When I first arrived in town, we hung out all the time. But as years passed, our friend circles naturally drifted apart and we sort of lost touch eventually. Still, that old brotherly affection is definitely still there. Seeing Lu Jun's post, I quickly dropped a cheerful comment underneath. Happy birthday, man. He replied to me almost immediately. His quick message read, Shen Fan, are you free tonight? You should totally come to my birthday party. We really haven't seen each other in almost 6 months, right? I replied, it has actually been over 6 months. You are finishing up your studies soon, right? He mentioned he could already leave campus and was actively hunting for a solid internship. I asked if he had any specific ideas in mind. He told me, I majored in business management at the university. I've already turned down a few offers. I really want to find a management role in the hotel industry. Drop by tonight if you are free. We can talk about it there. It is on Yanchi Road. Oh, and do not forget to bring your girlfriend so the guys can see. If only I had gotten the chance to attend university 4 years ago. Today, I would probably be chatting with my buddies too, casually bragging that I am hunting for a nice job in hotel management. Some people really get to easily choose their lives, while others are just condemned to be chosen. A girlfriend? Where on earth am I supposed to find one? And then, suddenly my thoughts immediately drifted to Lixia. Did she not just say she owed me a favor? What if I took her to dinner tonight? It would be the absolute perfect chance to introduce her to Lu Jun. He wants to work in the hotel business, right? Well, Lixia is the general manager of the Cathay International Hotel. Even if she cannot get him hired directly at her hotel right away, it could still serve as a really great networking connection. With just a little bit of luck, it might open some massive doors for him. I immediately called Lixia. The second she picked up, her very first question was, regretting it already? Calling to demand those 20 million from me? Can you not be just a little bit normal? I teased her right back. So in your eyes, I only call when it is about the money. Is that it? Lixia burst into laughter, completely unrestrained. Alright, so, what do you really want? Did you not promise me a favor earlier today? Wait, you said as long as it did not go against your principles, you would help. You were the one who confidently said that, right? Yes, that was me. What exactly do you expect from me? Accompany me tonight to a close friend's birthday party. Just for a really quick dinner. That does not violate your precious principles, does it? Assuming it is not too much to ask. One simple dinner. Dinner? Lixia exclaimed loudly from the other end of the line. What? You want me to join you for dinner? You really think I have nothing else to do? Hey, I will not force you if you are busy. At least it clearly shows me what kind of person you truly are, Lixia. Besides being completely obsessed with money, you are also someone who just cannot seem to keep her word. Do whatever you want. Probably furious, Lixia immediately snapped back. You just wait right there. I will come to your dinner tonight. Bye. But after tonight, never speak to me again. We will be perfectly even. You also have to swear not to embarrass me during the meal, obviously. I will not try anything inappropriate either. You will just be there strictly as a friend, alright? Lixia answered without a single moment of hesitation. Okay. Understood. See you tonight. I felt pretty proud of myself for managing to convince Lixia. We hadn't seen each other in 6 months. And today was Lu Jun's birthday. On my way out, I stopped by the local convenience store to buy a red envelope, carefully slipping 500 yuan inside. 500 yuan honestly isn't a small amount of cash for me. I figured that Lu Jun's friends were probably all college students, and students these days tend to be pretty heavy spenders. I was genuinely worried my envelope wouldn't look generous enough and might end up putting Lu Jun in an awkward spot. At 6:15, I finally arrived right in front of the restaurant. Lixia's white Range Rover was already parked there. Catching sight of me, she stepped out and quickly walked over. She was wearing a really sharp business suit. I just stood there in the doorway, checking her out from head to toe. Lixia shot me a fierce, glaring look and asked, "What are you staring at?" You didn't give me a dress code, and honestly, I had absolutely no time to change anyway. Once I got the exact address you sent, I drove straight here from the office. I just smiled warmly. I wasn't expecting it at all, but that suit really gives you a lot of class. That little comment earned me another massive eye roll from Lixia. I led her right into the hall, pushing open the heavy door to the restaurant's private dining room. I immediately spotted Lu Jun. He was sitting right in the seat of honor, laughing and chatting with some guy on his left, surrounded by a crowd of about 10 people. The second he saw me, Lu Jun jumped up to welcome me. "Shen Fan, you finally made it. We were waiting on you. Come sit down." He waved me over, then motioned for the guy next to him to scoot down a bit. I walked over to the seat that had just been cleared and pulled out a cigarette as a way to thank him for making room for me. The guy took one look at my cheap pack of Hong Tashan and politely shook his head. Smiling, he just pointed a finger at a premium pack of soft Zhonghua resting on the table, telling me that he already had plenty to smoke. Lu Jun then introduced me to the group. "Meet Shen Fan, my best bro from our hometown high school. An absolute genius. He scored over 600 points on the Gaokao exam." I managed a bitter smile and told Lu Jun, "Drop it, man. Let's not dig up the past. Happy birthday anyway." Handing him my red envelope, I watched Lu Jun's fingers lightly squeeze it to feel the cash inside. He waved his hand dismissively. "Shen Fan, you are way too polite. I invited you out today to hang out, not to squeeze an envelope out of you. We haven't seen each other in 6 whole months. I just wanted us to catch up, get some food, drink up, and chat a bit. Oh, and is this your girlfriend? What's your name?" Li Xia didn't seem offended at all by the girlfriend comment. She smiled sweetly and said, "I'm Li Xia." Lu Jin puffed up his chest proudly. "I'm Lu Jin, studying business management at Yunnan University. I'm one of Shen Fan's oldest childhood friends." When Lu Jun name-dropped his university and his major, his voice got extremely loud. The guy looked insanely proud of himself. Someone else yelled out, "Bring on the food!" And the noisy chaos started right back up. Lu Jin pulled out his own expensive cigarettes, offered me one, and said, "Fan, if you had just stayed in school back then, you definitely wouldn't be working as a delivery driver today." "A delivery driver? No way." The girl sitting next to Lu Jin let out a barely hidden scoff and asked, "Which food delivery app? Uber Eats or Deliveroo?" We always see crazy stories online about drivers stealing bites from people's orders. Before I could even open my mouth to defend myself, another college guy chimed in, "Yeah, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Tasting it isn't even the worst part. Did you see that viral elevator video? A driver literally used the customer's soup as mouthwash and spat it back. That is absolutely disgusting. The whole gig economy is a massive mess right now, and the platforms do zero to fix it. It's just desperate people without real jobs doing this stuff. Who would ever choose to be a courier if they actually had a decent career?" My face was burning hot. I couldn't even look at these snobby kids, much less Li Xia, sitting right next to me. While the whole table kept tearing into my job, a girl suddenly turned her attention to Li Xia. "Wait, are you a delivery driver too?" Li Xia looked right at her and replied with a calm smile, "Yes, Shen Fan and I are both delivery drivers. We work together." The girl stared back with completely unfiltered, sarcastic admiration, saying, "Wow, it must be so exhausting being outside every single day, battling the wind and baking in the sun. Working a rough gig like that and keeping your skin so flawless. I truly envy you, Li Xia." She just kept smiling politely without bothering to explain a thing, letting these clueless college girls ramble on about the real world. Feeling incredibly awkward, Lu Jun leaned over and whispered to comfort me, "Shen Fan, please don't take it personally, man. They aren't trying to be cruel, they just run their mouths without thinking." I gave him a hollow smile and replied, "Lu Jun, it's fine. I totally get it. And I wasn't just saying that to be polite. I really did understand. Surviving and coming through all these brutal years, I've bumped into every type of person imaginable. College grads are easily the most arrogant bunch around. They haven't stepped foot out of their university bubble yet, and hardly any of them know how to read a room. Honestly, very few of them care about the feelings of anyone else. They all strut around acting like the absolute elite. After a few rounds of drinks, the conversation finally shifted. "Hey," Lu Jin asked me, "how is your dad's illness doing these days? Is there any chance he can finally get a kidney transplant?" Just hearing that question made my mood turn incredibly dark. I picked up my glass and downed my drink in one heavy gulp. Keeping my voice low, I muttered, "There's not much hope. A kidney transplant costs hundreds of thousands. It is way past what my family can afford. Plus, cash alone isn't enough to secure a transplant. We still desperately need to find a matching kidney." Over these past few years, he's only been getting conservative treatments, stuck on hospital dialysis machines every single week. All of it has reduced him to nothing but skin and bone. Lu Jun let out a really heavy sigh and started thinking about our past. Back in the day, you scored over 600 on the Gaokao exam. Why didn't you just push through to university? I clearly remember the entire school actually organized a huge fundraiser just for you. That money was supposed to be for your college tuition. I completely cut him off. I gave every cent to my dad for his medical bills. Yeah, do you regret it? If you had just gone to university back then, you'd have incredible career opportunities today. I shook my head, lit up the expensive cigarette Lu Jun just handed me, and said with total conviction, even if you gave me the choice 100 times over, I'd still hand that cash to my dad for his treatments. How can you be so utterly irrational? The girl sitting right across from them scoffed loudly. Lu Jun chimed in, using this ridiculous moralizing tone. You really should have used that cash for your degree. The smartest path is getting into a top-tier university like us, and then scoring your bachelor's and your diploma. That way, you'd have so many actual options when hunting for a career. You wouldn't be stuck like you are now. I mean, aside from a delivery driver, what else can you even do? Li Xia, who had kept entirely quiet up until this point, finally spoke up. You should never judge people or situations you know absolutely nothing about. Your logic might be technically true, but it is definitely not the right answer for every single scenario. The girl rolled her eyes hard, making it painfully obvious she couldn't care less. Lu Jun quickly cut in to stop her. Lu Ruyan, drop it. Shen Fan's dad got sick a few years back, and his mom has to stay home round the clock to care for him. Now, the whole family relies entirely on him. Lu Ruyan muttered with pure disdain. What a short-sighted perspective. Seriously, what did they expect me to say to that? My hand gripping my drink started shaking with rage. Suddenly, I felt a very soft, incredibly warm hand rest gently on top of mine. I turned my head and immediately saw Li Xia. She was looking at me, her eyes filled with nothing but genuine tenderness. Lu Rian shot us a filthy look of utter contempt, then turned to ask Lu Junlastu. Last week, I told you to send out applications for those corporate job offers. Did you do it? I already scored an interview invitation. Have you heard absolutely anything back yet? Lu Jin put on a super mysterious grin, unlocked his smartphone, and shoved it toward Lu Ruyan. He told her in a highly excited tone, look at this job interview invite. They literally just sent it to me this afternoon. I'm going in tomorrow morning. Isn't that fantastic? Lu Rian went completely crazy with joy, throwing her arms around Lu Jun and kissing his cheek before saying, completely full of naive hope, I am so confident we'll both get hired at that luxury hotel. A random girl sitting right across the table leaned forward and asked, what is going on with you two? Why are you acting so thrilled? Lu Jun answered her, practically bursting with massive pride. Lu Rian and I applied for jobs together, and our top choice hotel just called us in for a formal interview tomorrow. Wow, congratulations. Seriously, congratulations. All right, let's raise our glasses and celebrate this moment. Having a solid degree is honestly the perfect way to choose your own career path. Lu Jun rejected so many good companies just for this, so you better deliver, Lu Ruyan. After dinner, the second part of the evening was taking place at a KTV. The karaoke spot was 2 kilometers away. Leaving the restaurant's private room, my old college classmates were walking up ahead, while Li Xia and I found ourselves lagging behind them. I quietly whispered to Li Xia that the dinner is completely over. You kept your promise, so you don't need to look after me anymore. You can go ahead and leave now. Thanks for keeping your word. Li Xia asked me in a whisper, are you going to the second part of the evening with them? I shook my head. No, I'll find a good excuse to slip away. We honestly don't have much in common anyway. Li Xia gave a little pout and asked, where are you heading? Let me drop you off. Outside the restaurant, Lu Jun had already managed to hail 3 different cabs for everyone. 4 people squeezed into the first cab, 2 in the second, and another couple was boarding. That left exactly 5 of us standing there on the sidewalk. Li Xia, Lu Jin, Lu Ruyan, myself, and some guy I didn't even know. Lu Ruyan looked over and said to Li Xia, we can just squeeze all 5 of us in. We simply need to ask the driver. We'll get there fast. No thanks, Li Xia replied with a polite smile. Shen Fan and I still have some things to take care of tonight. We'll catch up another day. You're leaving already? Just come along. Yeah, hang out with us a little longer, Lu Jin said, sounding quite disappointed. It is so rare that we all get to reunite like this. Lu Ruyan discreetly pinched Lu Jun. It's fine, she told him. Don't force them to come along. It is absolute peak hour for evening deliveries right now. He can probably squeeze in a few more orders. Don't make him waste his precious time. I then told Lu Jun, next time, for sure. We are all in Kunming anyway, so let's keep in touch and see each other again very soon. We are taking off now, alright? Alright then, Lu Jun replied very reluctantly. Let me call you a cab. Be careful on the road. No need for that, I haven't been drinking, Li Xia firmly replied. Li Xia pressed her key fob, and the white Range Rover parked right next to us immediately flashed its bright LED lights. Then, she gave a very friendly wave goodbye to Lu Jun. Goodbye, Lu Jin and Lu Rian suddenly looked visibly tense and utterly speechless. I walked alongside Li Xia toward the heavy car. Just as I was opening the passenger door, I heard Lu Ruyan behind me, saying in an extremely arrogant and condescending tone, "Your childhood friend is truly something else. He definitely just borrowed that car to show off to everyone." I didn't catch the rest of her sentence, because I was already sitting inside Li Xia's car. I leaned back against the seat, eyes squeezed shut, completely unable to envision my future. I felt the hot tears streaming down my cheeks. When the crushing weight of life suffocates me until I can barely breathe, all I can do is nurse my wounds in total darkness. I desperately didn't want Li Xia to see my silent tears falling. So I quietly rolled down the window, letting the cool night wind dry them and evaporate them right into the air. The car finally pulled up outside the Paris Spring residential complex. I stepped out and said my final goodbyes to Li Xia. Just as I was about to walk away, Li Xia suddenly called out to me, "Shen Fan, do I still owe you anything at all?" I stopped in my tracks and slowly turned around to look at her. I gently shook my head. "No, nothing anymore." "That is good," she said, as a genuinely relieved smile appeared on Li Xia's lips, and she calmly told me goodbye. I slept like an absolute log until very late the next morning. It was a loud phone call that finally woke me up. Without even bothering to check who was calling, I answered out of professional habit. "Hello, good morning." On the other end of the line, I heard Li Xia's voice. She asked me, "Are you seriously still sleeping? Wow, you really have to try hard to be that lazy." Still half asleep and groggy, I grumbled back. "What does it matter to you if I am being lazy? Can you do me a favor?" "What favor?" "Come see me at my office and I'll explain. If you refuse later, I won't be mad." I hesitated for a few seconds before finally telling Li Xia, "Wait for me, I will be there in half an hour. And tell your guard dogs not to bite me." Li Xia laughed. "Hearing you, it sounds like it has actually happened before." Once I walked inside Li Xia's spacious office, I saw her sitting at her large desk, diligently typing away on her laptop. I slowly approached her workspace, leaned forward, and placed both of my hands firmly onto the table, looking right at her. "So what highly important mission requires me to come out of my peaceful retirement to handle it?" Li Xia simply let go of her mouse, leaned back into her leather chair, and crossed her arms over her chest. Looking straight up at me, she calmly said, "The Human Resources Department has several important job interviews to conduct today. I am really going to need your personal help for today. You'll be our HR manager today. You'll evaluate if these candidates fit." I stared at Li Xia. "You are joking. You really want me to serve as your lead corporate recruiter?" "Yes, exactly," Li Xia replied. Speaking in a remarkably calm tone, she added, "I am absolutely not joking. The interview candidates are already waiting. If you agree to help me, you can start the interviews right now. My assistant, Xiaoru, will assist you throughout the whole process. Honestly, it is really not that difficult to be an interviewer. You just need to take a good look at each candidate. The ones you get a strong, positive feeling about, you can confidently keep them for the trial period. The ones you just don't vibe with, you can just reject them directly. Just follow your gut feeling." I looked at Li Xia completely baffled. I genuinely couldn't wrap my head around it. "Why exactly are you asking me to handle these job interviews in your place? You clearly have some kind of hidden agenda here, don't you?" A highly mysterious, enigmatic smile slowly formed on Li Xia's lips. She confidently stood up from her desk and said, "Just go. I'll have Xiaoru take you directly to the Human Resources Department. You will understand absolutely everything then, including why I specifically asked you to come in today." Driven by an intense curiosity, I followed Xiaoru straight to the designated interview room. Neatly arranged on the desk were 4 candidate files. Xiaoru quickly explained to me, "Only these 4 people made it past the initial screening, but ultimately, our company can only afford to keep 2 of them. You can start by reviewing their resumes. I will step outside to notify them to enter one by one for their interview. It's entirely up to you to decide which 2 will be hired." Those were Director Li's exact instructions. I slowly opened the very first candidate resume. 26 years old, 2 solid years of experience in hotel management, and a proud graduate from the prestigious Southwest University of Political Science and Law. The second resume belonged to a young woman who had recently graduated from a standard business school. Nothing too spectacular, but her attached cover letter was beautifully written with incredible humility. She seemed like a very discreet young woman. When I flipped open the third resume, I got a massive shock. It was Lu Jun. Suddenly, a profound realization washed over me. I hurriedly opened the 4th folder. Sure enough, Lu Ruyan's face was staring right back at me from the attached photo. Last night at the dinner table, they were so thrilled, bragging about receiving an invitation for a major job interview at a top hotel, acting like they couldn't believe their luck. So, the fancy hotel they were bragging about was Cathay International, and Li Xia specifically asked me to interview them. But what exactly is she trying to accomplish here? I sat there for a long moment thinking hard. I think I was finally starting to grasp the brilliant subtlety of Li Xia's clever plan. A moment later, the assistant, Xiaoru, briskly walked back into the office and told me, "I have organized absolutely everything. Should I go ahead and send them in for the interview now? I nodded my head in the direction Xiaochu asked her question, and I simply told her to bring all 4 candidates in at the exact same time. She seemed a little surprised, and honestly, a quick flash of suspicion flickered in her eyes. It was like she was secretly wondering if I actually knew how to conduct a proper job interview. Still, I stood my ground and insisted she bring everyone in together. Seeing I wasn't backing down, Xiaoru dropped it. She pushed open the door and stepped out. When she finally returned, all 4 job applicants were walking right behind her. Xiaoru introduced me to the group. She announced I was Mr. Chen, the head human resources director, and that I would personally select the 2 final hires today. After wrapping up her brief introduction, she walked right back over to her desk. Taking a seat on my left side, she immediately started typing on her laptop to take interview notes. Shen Fan? Lu Jun blurted out my name before he could even stop himself. Am I dreaming right now? He asked, completely stunned. I just smiled, lifting my head to look at everyone. Glancing across the room, I quickly spotted Lu Royan. She was practically glowing with excitement, and already looked absolutely certain she had the job in the bag. Putting on a fake professional tone, I told them all to take a seat. I mentioned that I had thoroughly reviewed every resume, and just making it through the hiring process to this stage proved something. It proved they were the absolute best out of the entire applicant pool. Even if they did not get hired today, their skills were undeniably sharp. However, we only had 2 open positions. Lu Royan immediately chimed in with incredible arrogance, declaring that the 2 spots would definitely go to her and Lu Jun. That bold comment quickly earned a fierce glare from the other male candidate. Lu Jun panicked, quickly tugging on her sleeve and aggressively whispering for her to just shut up. He then turned to awkwardly apologize to the other guy. Meanwhile, the second young woman did not react at all. It was honestly as if she had completely tuned out Ruyan and her arrogant speech. I casually grabbed the water glass, sitting right in front of me, took a slow sip, and finally told them my last interview question. Imagine your monthly salary is $5,000, and you have to choose between 3 homes. The first is a tiny room in a tough neighborhood for $500 a month. The second option costs $1,000 a month, and the third is a private luxury apartment for $2,500. Which one would you choose? Lu Ruyan was immediately the first one to speak up. She claimed she would definitely pick the expensive condo because her living environment was absolutely essential. She demanded her own space. I then asked Lu Jin for his answer. He awkwardly scratched his head and said he would choose the shared apartment. Next, I turned my attention to the third young woman. Her name was easy to remember, BPP. This was the very first time I had heard her speak. Her voice was incredibly soft and delicate. She carefully explained that she would also choose the shared living situation, mostly because a good environment was still very important to her. She figured her potential roommates would likely share her general income level and core values. They would get along great, and it was a perfect chance to expand her professional network. Sharing a space just seemed like an excellent solution. Finally, the last remaining candidate firmly declared he would choose to live in the cheaper working-class neighborhood. After all, $5,000 a month really was not much. Instead of blowing cash on rent, he preferred using those funds to aggressively build out his professional network. All 4 job candidates had finally finished pitching their answers. I turned to Xiaoru, sitting right beside me, and declared that our interview session was officially over. She just stared back and asked, "So, who are the 2 lucky applicants we are keeping?" I told her the announcement would happen tomorrow morning. I dismissed everyone to wait for our phone call. Xiaoru then stood up. She warmly thanked all 4 of them, confirming that Director Chen was officially ending today's recruitment event. She promised they would all get a phone call tomorrow morning regarding the final hiring decision. Everything now rested on my final executive decision. She thanked them again and politely asked them to follow her toward the exit. With that, Xiaoru walked out of the office first, followed closely by the other guy and then BPP. Once Ruyan saw them leave, she suddenly sprinted right up to my interview table, her face absolutely glowing with raw excitement. She practically yelled, "Shen Fan, you are not a delivery driver. What on earth are you doing here? Are you actually the guy interviewing us? This is so amazing. Does this mean Lu Jun and I can start getting ready to work here next week?" A faint, amused smile slowly crept onto my face as I listened. Honestly, I had absolutely no idea how to respond. Lu Jun quickly grabbed Ruyan and told her they needed to leave. Then he looked right at me. "Hey, are you free tonight? You bolted way too early yesterday, so we barely even got to drink. What time do you clock out? I will come grab you later so we can party properly." I promised to reach out the second my shift finally ended. Just as they were walking away, Ruyan confidently grabbed Lu Jun by the arm and boldly whispered, "Your buddy is the head human resources director here. Why exactly did you not mention that little detail way sooner? This Shen Fan guy is honestly super impressive. We definitely need to hang out with him a lot more." With that, all 4 candidates finally left. Once the interview room was completely empty, I just sat there in my chair, totally lost in thought. After a minute, I stood right up and walked straight over to Licia's private office. Licia was intensely staring at her computer monitor. I actually thought I heard my own voice playing from the speakers. Looking up at me, she smiled and said, "Not bad at all. Hey Fan, that last question you asked showed a ton of personality. You can learn so much about someone just from their housing preferences." I quickly frowned in confusion and asked her, "Wait a second. Did you see that whole thing?" Licia physically turned her computer screen around to show me. "I was watching the live feed," she explained. "So there was actually a hidden camera recording everything inside that interview room." I was completely speechless for a second. Did she seriously not trust me? Before I could even open my mouth to argue, Licia immediately started explaining. "Do not get the wrong idea," she said. "Our interview rooms are always fully equipped with cameras. Sometimes we just get way too many applicants to make a smart hiring decision right on the spot. The human resources team constantly needs to review those video recordings multiple times before choosing anyone." I slowly nodded in understanding, and Licia shot me a warm smile. "So, who do you think we should hire?" I told her we should keep BPP and Lu Jun. Licia asked why I was rejecting Ruyan. "Aren't you worried that your old childhood friend Lu Jun might actually get furious with you?" Purely out of habit, I pulled out a cigarette and placed it between my lips. But right before lighting it, I suddenly realized that it probably was not super appropriate. Since I was standing inside her private office, I quietly tucked my lighter away. Licia noticed and casually told me not to worry about smoking. She honestly did not mind people lighting up around her at all. I thanked her, sparked my cigarette, and told her I fully understood why she brought me in today. I appreciated her massive effort. "You have been incredibly kind to me, so I simply cannot afford to be completely irresponsible here." Lu Ruyan thinks way too highly of herself and seriously lacks basic professional manners. She is definitely not a good team player to train at all. BPP, on the other hand, is a genuinely fantastic candidate. Whether looking at her resume or just hearing her speak, she proved remarkably humble today. Plus, she presents incredibly well and comes across as extremely approachable. As for Lu Jun, even without a ton of professional background, his outlook on life and core values are undeniably solid. If we set aside our personal history, I strongly advise you to keep him on the team. Regarding your concern about rejecting Lu Ruyan and potentially upsetting Lu Jun in the process, the only thing I can tell you right now is that I would never take advantage of the immense trust you have placed in me to do anything that might damage the growth of your business. That is exactly why I held off on announcing my final decision earlier today, because ultimately it really is your call on who stays. Licia leaned back into her office chair, locked eyes with me and said, "This morning when I saw that resume, I was honestly taken aback. What a wild coincidence. That is exactly why I called you in for this interview today. You saw what just happened in there. Yesterday you were just an everyday delivery driver, and today, suddenly you are acting as a human resources director. With just that simple status shift, certain people completely flip their attitude towards you. Corporate life is deeply pragmatic, and the people surviving in it are remarkably hypocritical. I understand your intentions were completely pure, wanting me to regain my self-esteem in front of my friends. You and I know how much pride matters. But honestly, you also forced me into an incredibly difficult situation. An impossible dynamic. Lu Jun and Lu Ruyan both firmly believe I can decide their career fate. It got deeply awkward. Meanwhile, Licia clearly could not care less. Honestly, if this feels too complicated for you, just keep both Lu Jun and Lu Ruyan. I do not mind either way. At KD Hotel, I already have over 100 employees under my direct supervision. Adding one single Lu Ruyan into the mix is not going to change anything whatsoever. It is up to you to figure out how to handle it. I threw a quick glance at Licia, completely at a loss for words. I just turned around and started marching straight toward the exit. With my back facing her, I called out, "Have fun playing corporate games by yourself. I am leaving. Stop trying to drag me into your corporate drama. I absolutely refuse to play this ridiculous game." "Hold on a second," Licia called out from behind me. "If you genuinely believe your closest childhood friend Lu Jun is incapable of understanding exactly why you chose not to hire Lu Ruyan, and he actually decides to turn his back on you over it, well, then I think that childhood friendship is simply not worth holding on to anymore. You should definitely cut ties. Deep down, he knows exactly what kind of person Lu Ruyan actually is. Besides, do you genuinely believe a sincere guy like Lu Jun could ever build a happy future with such an unbelievably hypocritical woman? Obviously, as complete outsiders, we have zero business meddling in their romantic relationships. But when it comes to basic character flaws and the red flags are just so blatantly obvious, do you not think you owe your buddy a word of brutal honesty?" I stood entirely frozen in place, listening to Licia lay it all out. Refusing to argue any further, I simply pulled open the heavy office door to leave. Right behind me, Licia's voice rang out sharp and clear. "Since you already started this whole process, see it through to the end and deliver a final result. I absolutely refuse to let you abandon the crucial favor you promised to handle for me. It is exactly like that dreadful dinner yesterday. Even though I hated every single second of it, I still stayed by your side until the bitter end. Tomorrow, you are announcing those interview results. If you bail out, I will just hire both Lu Jun and Lu Ruyan so you can save face in front of your buddies. Li Xia's supposed kindness had essentially handed me a massive burning problem to solve. And frankly, I had absolutely zero idea how on earth I was going to face Lu Jun and Lu Ruyan. I could easily ignore Lu Ruyan's feelings entirely, but I desperately wanted to avoid humiliating my loyal friend Lu Jun. Tonight's upcoming dinner was definitely shaping up to be incredibly uncomfortable. You know how it is. When dread builds up, you still have to face the music anyway. Right at 4:30, Lu Jun rang my phone to ask exactly what time my shift was ending. I quickly told him that I had actually just wrapped up my work for the day. He sounded genuinely thrilled to hear that and immediately asked where we should meet up. We need to drink heavily tonight, he cheered. I simply told him to swing by, that I was buying dinner at a modest little local spot near the Li Kintian neighborhood. Lu Jun eagerly said he was heading over immediately. Catch you a bit, he cheered, and with that quick goodbye, he hung up the phone. I honestly had no clue what was about to unfold tonight. Would our solid 10-year friendship completely collapse, or somehow emerge stronger than ever? I was entirely in the dark, because after all this time, we have both changed over the past few years. Our daily social circles have steadily drifted apart. There are certain sensitive topics I just do not know how to approach anymore. The only thing I could possibly do was simply sit there and pray. At exactly 8:30, Lu Jun and Lu Ruyan both walked into the restaurant together. My entire body suddenly tensed up. I desperately wanted to salvage this long-time friendship, but I also absolutely refused to betray the genuine kindness Li Xia had shown toward me. I was trapped in a crushing moral dilemma. Once a few hot plates of food were finally brought out to our table, the core conversation topic that they constantly pushed on me never once strayed from KD International Hotel. They kept aggressively asking about the workplace vibe, the baseline salary expectations, and exactly how the entire corporate ladder was structured. They fired off so many intense questions that I honestly had zero answers for. I could not reveal a single thing to them. All I could do was flash an incredibly awkward smile and frantically try pivoting to a different subject. Both Lu Jun and Lu Ruyan quickly that I was actively dodging the conversation. The atmosphere during the meal remained painfully awkward. We were all incredibly uncomfortable. Naturally, the very first person to finally snap was Lu Ruyan. She slowly picked up her wooden chopsticks and remarked in a strangely bitter tone, Lu Jun, it really looks like Shen Fan does not want us getting hired at KD Hotel. Do not think that is entirely untrue. I immediately fired back. Whether the two of you land jobs at KD Hotel or not is absolutely out of my hands. But you were the one conducting our interview today, she aggressively insisted. Thanks to rumors, we know that Xiaoru girl is the executive assistant to KD's general manager. Even she explicitly stated you had the final power to decide if we got hired. How can you possibly claim this is not your call to make? I felt totally trapped. There was zero chance to justify my stance now. Lu Jun looked at me with pure sincerity and pleaded, Shen Fan, securing this hospitality job is incredibly important for both Ruyan and myself. Sure, there are plenty of 5-star luxury hotels across Kunming, but after running the comparisons, we firmly believe KD Hotel provides the absolute best launchpad for our career development. But why KD specifically? I stared at Lu Jun, utterly perplexed. You said it yourself. Kunming is packed with 5-star hotels. Why are you both so desperately determined to get into KD Hotel? Lu Jun leaned in with a highly secretive expression. Since you work inside KD, you definitely must have heard the shocking industry rumors by now. Right? The massive founder of KD Group, Lee Daezong, recently suffered a tragic accident in his private plane over in Hawaii. Rescue teams were totally helpless, and he passed away just like that. Word on the street is that the person single-handedly running KD Hotel, right now, is actually his illegitimate daughter. She is actively hacking apart the existing executive staff. She desperately wants to build her own loyal team to cement her newly gained authority. During a chaotic transitional phase exactly like this, she aggressively needs to inject completely fresh blood into the operation. That is exactly why we chose KD. We are betting on the turmoil. Chaos creates heroes. I want to take a big chance alongside Ruyan, instead of playing it safe, inside a totally predictable corporate machine, where everything remains completely calm and wave-free. It is way better to dive straight into a highly competitive, conflict-heavy environment to prove your own worth. I could entirely understand Lu Jun's ambitious logic here. It genuinely was a golden opportunity for him to finally showcase exactly what he was capable of achieving. However, I still refused to blindly ignore my own moral conscience by pushing to get Lu Ruyan officially hired. I gently tried to tactfully dissuade him, cautiously telling him, look man, a completely peaceful workplace has its perks too. You avoid all those brutal backstabbings and nasty, corporate intrigues. Shen Fan, Lu Jun quickly interrupted, staring at me. with a deadly serious expression. If there is even the slightest possibility, you absolutely must secure these jobs for Ruyan and myself. Please, buddy. Throughout the remainder of our dinner, I stubbornly refused to give Luan any definitive answer. I simply told him and Ruyan to head home and wait for my call. Looking back, you and I know hindsight is brutal. Remembering that abandoned warehouse scene on the outskirts, Liesh had coldly told Li Jiao, I promised to take good care of you. If I am not mistaken, the wealthy heiress Liu Jun mentioned is almost certainly Lixia. Once I got back home, I stepped out onto the balcony, and I dialed Lixia's number. When she picked up, she asked why I was calling so late. I told her it was about the hiring process. Tonight, Liu Jun and Lu Ruyan bought me dinner. You can probably guess what we talked about. Honestly, I think this little prank has gone on long enough. Taking it any further is just too much. I showed you the interview recording earlier. Deep down, you know exactly who actually deserves the job. Liu Jun and BPP are clearly the most qualified candidates for the role. That is my honest opinion. I need you to put an end to this misunderstanding right now. Sounding incredibly annoyed, Lixia snapped back. Shen Fan, let me ask you something. Did I keep the promise I made to you, or not? You asked me out to dinner, and I dropped a massively important meeting just to be there. Even though I absolutely hate corporate dinners, I stayed with you the entire time. I even tolerated being called a delivery girl and dealt with all those insults. I swallowed my pride because when I make a promise, I see it through to the bitter end. Now it is your turn. You promised to do this one thing for me, and you want to quit halfway? Please, just stop being ridiculous. Fine, I begged her. Lixia, I know you just wanted to help me get payback. I really appreciate the gesture, but things have completely spiraled out of control. It took a really dark turn. This is going to ruin my friendship, Lixia replied with absolute authority in her voice. You can choose not to hurt anyone at all. Just hire Liu Jin and Liu Ruyan at the exact same time. I am giving you the authority to do it. Stop being so stubborn. This is your company. Are you just making a fool of yourself? On the other end of the line, I could not tell if Lixia was furious or just trying to provoke me. She told me this was her revenge. Payback for what I did to her meal that morning. You will come to my office and personally make the phone calls. You will tell those two successful candidates to report directly to Human Resources on Monday morning to start working. Once you do that, your promise is officially fulfilled. If you consider yourself a real man, do not do things halfway. Do not back out on me now. After saying that, Lixia just hung up the phone. I suddenly felt like I was trapped out on a pirate ship, with absolutely no way to escape. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I was staring down an impossible problem. No matter what choice I made, it felt completely wrong. The next day, standing right inside Lixia's office, I absolutely hated the mocking look on her face. A landline phone sat quietly on the desk. Lixia, sitting on the other side of the table, was directly facing me with a cup of coffee in her hand. She was clearly enjoying my misery, while I just stared at the phone, feeling completely paralyzed. Come on, call them, Lixia ordered in a deceptively calm voice. After all, even if you went to Liu Jin and Lu Ruyan right now, and admitted you are not the human resources director of this company, they would never believe you, right? I glared at Lixia, absolutely boiling with rage. You planned this right from the very beginning, I yelled at her. You never wanted to help me build my confidence back up in front of everyone. You just wanted to trap me in an impossible situation. Is that it? Lixia parted her lips. A flash of deep disappointment crossed her eyes, quickly replaced by cold contempt. Think whatever you want to think, she hissed through gritted teeth. With that, she stood up and marched back to her desk. But she was right. At this point, even if I confessed to Liu Jun and Liu Ruyan that I was never the human resources director, they would never believe me anyway. Since I was already trapped, what was the point of hesitating? I grabbed the heavy landline phone and dialed the internal extension. The call went straight to Xiaoru. Gripping the receiver tightly, I told her to notify Liu Jun that he got the job and to be here on Monday. Understood, Xiao replied. And who is the second candidate we are hiring? Who is it? I could literally feel my hand trembling against the phone. Across the room, Lixia never took her piercing eyes off me. Hello? Xiaoru asked through the receiver. Director Chen, who is our second choice? The second choice. Lu Ruyan's name sat right on the tip of my tongue, but I just could not force it out. Xiaoru's voice echoed through the phone again, snapping me back to reality. Director Chen, you can go ahead and tell me. I am listening. BPP. The moment I finally said that name, I felt this massive crushing weight instantly lift off my shoulders. I realized my shirt was completely soaked in cold sweat. Understood. I will call Liu Jun and BPP to come into Human Resources on Monday. I hung up the phone before she could say another word. Collapsing back into the leather sofa, I threw my head back and just stared blankly at the ceiling. Then I heard Lixia's footsteps walking toward me. She sat back down on the sofa right across from me and said, Shen Fan, thank you. In reality, this was just a test. I let out a bitter laugh. A test? Please. Do not invent pathetic excuses just to comfort me now. I am not a naive 3-year-old kid. You did all of this just to get back at me. Payback for how much I annoyed you earlier. I really wish I could just turn back time a few days and take back the stupid lie about eating your meal. Actually, I did not do it because of that, Licia said with total indifference. It really does not matter anymore. Besides, life does not give you that many second chances. To be completely honest, I am actually glad you told that lie. It gave us an excuse to see each other a lot more. Regardless, I want to formally apologize to you. I never should have forced you into such an impossible test. Before Licia could even finish her sentence, my phone suddenly started ringing loudly. It was exactly what I was terrified of. The call was coming from Liu Jun. I picked it up and instantly heard his voice. Shen Fan, can you please tell me what is going on? With Licia sitting right across from me, I could not explain anything. I just muttered to Liu Jun, I will call you back later. He simply replied, okay, I will be waiting. I had to answer him, but my mood just grew even heavier and darker.